Yes.
No, Mr. Yule.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I've been trying to piece this together here. I do have some concerns, not with the individual. I think from what I've seen, what we have received with regard to the young man was that he had some pretty good credentials. But I think what I was more concerned about, a number of things. When we do a joint hearing like this, we normally have all of the candidates on the list, and we still don't have the candidates on the list. Also, we're in the development stage of the Economic Development Committee, so the committee really doesn't exist yet. Okay, we have it on paper, but the committee doesn't exist. So the CPC interviewed 3 members, but we haven't. And the concept at the very beginning was that they would interview, we would interview, because it's a development stage, all right? And we would have input. Now, I've not received any documentation until 2:30 Sunday before the Super Bowl on these other applicants, so I didn't receive that information. And it was supposed to be a joint effort in selecting members for this board. So we haven't seen anything, relatively speaking, except on this one individual. So with the EDC not being established at this point, there shouldn't be any meetings by the EDC in selecting. It should just simply be the CPC, and we should be doing our thing. The CARs that are submitted should have gone to the CPC as they did, and we should have gotten copies of the CARs as well. So that process, that wasn't completed. Not all of the members submitted a CAR, which is required by our policy book. The standard form for every applicant to fill out a CAR, and that wasn't done, okay, by all of the members. And in fact, I think, well, the candidate right now hadn't submitted a CAR. And he may have just done it, I don't know, but he hadn't submitted a CAR. So the whole process is what I'm concerned about, not the applicant himself, all right? You know, if we have 3 candidates, we've done this with the one of our other meetings where we have a whole list and we vote for who we want and who we don't want, okay? And that process has been passed over. And at the last meeting, we were looking to have all the names and the and information on the individuals so that we can gather whatever information we need to gather. And again, the 3 names not there, only 1 name, and we just got the information on Sunday. So.
Can I
Mr.
respond?
Delaney.
Well, several things I'll respond to. One, the reason why you or this majority of this board just received those names on Sunday is due to something that occurred at Town Hall, I believe. Speaking to Ms. Griffin, she informs me that she'd sent the citizen activity record, Mr. Wallner's detailed resume, that I would say that actually is more inclusive and more informative than a CAR, to the TA's office on multiple occasions going back some weeks ago. And I don't know where they ended up. So as a result of finding that out, that's why I took it upon myself to send it, when it wasn't in our packet that we received on Thursday or Friday, I took it upon myself to send it to all the members of this board, all the information on the 3 candidates, and I believe I may have submitted also the CAR of the candidate that recently submitted his CAR. If I hadn't done so, I will do that. I believe we follow the process that was established when we originally talked about the EDC. That was for members of the CPC as well as the members of the Board of Selectmen to interview whatever candidates come before them. That was done 3+ months ago. And as a result of those interviews, the candidate that's before you, I will agree with you, I don't know why in the motion it didn't include the other 2 names of the people that we had interviewed. It clearly doesn't. I would agree with you on that. But I don't think it should preclude us from not taking a vote on Mr. Wallner this evening. I don't think the process has been deviated from in any sort of way. And as I previously indicated, I think Mr. Wallner's detailed and in-depth resume is more informative concerning his background than the CAR. So, and I believe he had submitted a CAR post-interview, which checks off the boxes of the committee that he wants to be involved in and some other minor details. But, so that's how I respond to your concerns, Mr. Yule.
Mr. Chair, the meetings were held, what, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, something like that? I think the documentation on these individuals were available to them at that time. I think Mr. Pisco even noted that he was at one of their meetings, January 19th, if I remember correctly, that they did have that information.
There hasn't been, oh, time. There hasn't been any meeting of any economic development committee.
Yeah, it was at CPC meeting.
There was an interview evening about 3 months ago. And quite frankly, I don't understand why we're belaboring this point. If you wish to move to table this and postpone this, feel free to do so. But I think you're creating issues that don't exist. They're like red herrings.
Well,
If it was a CPC meeting, I was at.
Excuse me?
Not an EDC meeting.
I didn't say it was. I said
Oh.
you had a CPC meeting.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I thought you were referring.
That's what I said. But I specifically asked you, Sean, that if there was a meeting with the EDC, and your answer was yes, okay? And I just,
What, can I give you
last meeting,
No.
you
but-
said this. Listen,
Jeff,
I
all right,
reviewed the
if I-
tapes, I just kept
All right,
going over it and going over it.
let's all calm down,
So,
one at a time.
you know,
If I said there was a meeting, I misspoke. What there was, and again, I'll say it probably for the third time.
was an interview.
There was an interview session about 3+ months ago. That's
And
what
who
I'm
was,
speaking.
who was at that meeting? I think you said that you were at it.
Ms. Griffin.
Bob was, the chairman was at the,
Everyone raise their hand.
okay,
Mr. Rooney's here too.
Mr. Rooney was there.
okay.
Those
So you-
members, do you want me to answer the question, or you want to
Go
just
ahead,
continue
go
talking?
ahead.
Mr. Mosseri was there, and I was there.
Okay, I didn't abdicate my right to have this process, or to
This was the
introduce
process that was established.
That
we
was not the
agreed that we were
process
gonna-
that was established.
Okay, fine. Well, what do you
You
want
know,
to do?
that was not the
What
process.
would you like to do?
Okay,
What would you
all
like to
right.
do?
We shouldn't be here having this
Fine,
conversation
make
right
a
now.
motion, make a motion to postpone this. Do whatever you want.
I'm not gonna support the process.
Excuse me, Bob, can I say something?
Go ahead.
When we established how we were gonna have an EDC, we elected that we're gonna have 2 liaisons, that we're gonna work with the liaisons from the CPC, and they were gonna take the charge on reviewing the candidates, interviewing the candidates, and then come back to our respective boards with their recommendation. We were actually gonna try to follow in line with what we do with the Hillview. Am I saying anything wrong so far? And what I see here, Jeff, is they're doing exactly what we all agreed in this room, including you, and now you're talking about doing something completely different.
You're repeating something completely different. This was supposed to be a joint effort between the CPC and the
A
Board of
joint
Selectmen.
vote.
Okay?
A joint vote.
No, the vote is joint as well, but it was supposed to be a joint effort. The EDC does not exist right now. So the fact that he's having meetings, okay,
I didn't have
as a
a
liaison.
Stop,
Hold on,
right?
hold on,
Right
hold
there.
on. Hey,
Stop.
Sean.
There was no meeting that
is
was
this?
held. It was an interview
down.
session 3 months ago. Make your point. Do you want to?
I made my point. No, don't try to cut me off because I want to work this thing out.
Let's
Let's
talk.
get going. It's 7:25.
It's 7:25.
Waste enough of time
Let's
listening
go.
to you.
I got a meeting, I got a meeting in 5 minutes, so.
So that's an issue.
All right, what I'd like added to the motion is the other 2 names, because that's the process.
Write them down.
But, just, if I might, Mr. Chairman, there's some validity to everything that's going on. I mean, what we decided was the subcommittee would take a look at it, you know, do the interviewing rather than both boards be doing the interviewing all at once. But at the same time, we also agreed that all resumes and all applications would be forwarded to both members, both boards. That's what wasn't done on a timely basis, let's put it that way.
I agree. That's why he had a
Excuse
legitimate.
me. So that's what was not done on a timely basis. As a result, it resulted in some confusion. So the last meeting when we were here, and the motion was put forward for us to vote separately, not in a joint meeting, which it should be, I didn't even have the other applications. So again, there was some breakdown in relation to, I mean, this was back in November. If you had 3 applicants, I didn't know who the other 2 were. all we had was this gentleman's name, and again, I have no qualms with the gentleman stepping forward and being appointed either, and I intend on doing that this evening. But with the next set of applicants that are gonna be put forward from a recommendation from this committee, I would again ask that all the applications come to us beforehand, and that we see them. If we have any questions, that's fine. And then we meet jointly, as we should be, and as we are this evening, and make the appointments.
Mr. Messere? Mr. O'Leary, very valid point.
Yeah, that's all.
When, the last time when this item appeared on the agenda, when I saw it was here, and I saw that there was a memo from CPC indicating that their vote was for Mr. Wallner, I called Ms. Griffin and I spoke to her as to whether or not they were going to be coming to our meeting. And I was informed that based upon a discussion she had with our town administrator, that the decision was made it wasn't necessary for CPC to come here if they just conferred the memo to the town administrator, to us, indicating who they would recommend for appointment. In addition, in speaking to Ms. Griffin, she, once again, I'll state that she informed me that not once, not twice, but possibly 3 times, she submitted all the CARs over to the town administrator's office. So I don't want anyone on this board or anyone in the public to think that those CARs were not submitted to us due to any neglect on the part of the CPC or part of Mr. Messere or myself having been present at that interview. Not a meeting, an interview that was conducted 3+ months ago.
But all I have to say.
But I agree with you
all
that
I
it
have to
wasn't-
say is,
it wasn't
you know,
submitted.
You've been involved in the process from day one. You could see what was forwarded to all of us and what wasn't. That's fine.
that's
Whatever's
why I
happened has
sent it on
happened.
Sunday.
It's water under the bridge. Let's move forward and get this committee going, Economic Development Commission going. But going forward, let's just make sure that all the applications are forwarded to everybody, and we meet in joint session to make the appointments. Again, I respectfully disagree with what the town administrator's interpretation was as far as how to handle the appointments, because again, in my past history,
And
I
that
have
was-
never.
that
That's
was
why we
re-
came tonight.
Right, I know that, and I appreciate
that was
that.
resolved last week,
Yeah,
that piece
right,
was.
so that's great.
So the only thing that wasn't, is all the names of the candidates,
Yep.
like we've done in the past, should be on.
Should be on this list.
And then we vote, in a roll call vote.
Just in relation to that issue, okay, and again, maybe we do want to handle this a little differently, you know, as far as the other application. I think all the applications should be forwarded to us. And again, if some people feel as though, again, we have 5 openings, and if we are only appointing 1, then 2 people are not being selected for some reason or another. I don't want any type of a tag put on anybody as, you know, not being good enough to be on the commission, because that's not the case. I mean, we're looking for specific skill sets, and we've set up a subcommittee to do that. I think all applications should be submitted to all members of the Board of Selectmen and the CPC for their consideration. And if some member wants to have one added on there for consideration, fine. But the recommendation of the advisory committee, if you want to call it, is what should come forward for ratification. So I'm not necessarily in favor of following with our past practice on some of the other boards, committees, and commissions. I'm looking at this a little bit different, and you know, we're looking for
So are
skill
you
sets.
satisfied with the motion as
I
it
mean,
stood?
I am
as it stands?
satisfied with the motion as it stands right now. But going forward, I just want to see all the applications. If I think that someone else should be added, and it could be one of these people later on, I'll put that forward for consideration for this board and CPC to consider. But I think the recommendation of the screening committee is important. And we're still at the infancy stages where there's still plenty of time to even come back and revisit some of these other applicants, depending upon what kind of response we get.
I don't think we should be creating a new process, though. We should do whatever we do with the Hillview and how we manage
It's
that
not just
process.
Hillview. I mean, it's
No,
other-
it's
but-
with any
but
joint.
again,
We
this is a.
specifically said we were gonna try to follow what the process we did
Yeah,
for
fine with
Hillview.
me, but
I think we should just stick with that. Let's not create anything new.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Yule.
if I may. I reviewed our Board of Selectmen policy book, and they have procedures and actions and appointments to be, and steps to be followed, okay? And they weren't followed. All right, there's a A through G procedure for us to follow, and they weren't followed. All right, now, you had, Steve said we have a subcommittee. What is the makeup of that subcommittee? Who are the members of that subcommittee? Is that subcommittee subject to open meeting law? Which I believe it would be, because it's a committee of ours.
not all, excuse me, not all screening committees are, just the finalists come forward in public generally to, I mean, we have screening committees for other positions, even appointed
Town
positions.
administrator.
Town administrator, things like that, that are not all done in public session. We have a screening committee that handles them, and then the finalists you know, 2, 3, 4 finalists,